the Nightly Business Report.
Good evening. Tonight, the carte blanche has been handed to Sri Lanka following a positive IMF review. However, there remains alarm on debt sustainability. SriLankan Airlines CEO Richard Natal speaks on the privatisation of the nation's flight carrier. Seems the green is left behind as the ASPI and S&P SL20 both end in the red for the second straight day this week. And it's time to travel as Nations Trust Bank pairs with Crazy Jets to offer American Express cardholders the best deals.
From Studio 24, here's Sina Mayadune.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. The executive boards of the International Monetary Fund completed the second review under the 48-month extended fund facility arrangement, allowing the authorities to draw about $336 million. This brings the total IMF financial support disbursed so far to approximately $1 billion. The executive board also concluded the 2024 Article 4 consultation with Sri Lanka.
The EFF-supported program aims to restore Sri Lanka's macroeconomic stability and debt sustainability, mitigate the economic impact on the poor and vulnerable, rebuild external buffers, safeguard financial sector stability and strengthen governance and growth potential. The IMF said signs of economic recovery are emerging as real GDP expanded by 3% year-on-year in the second half of 2023. May 2024 inflation was down 0.9% and gross international reserves increased to $5.5 billion by end of April. The primary balance improved to a surplus with tax revenue increasing to 9.8% of GDP in 2023. Despite improvements in non-performing loans, pockets of vulnerabilities remain in the banking sector. Following the Executive Board's discussion, Mr. Kenji Okamura, Deputy Managing Director and Acting Chair, said in a statement that Sri Lanka's performance under its fund-supported program remains strong. Reforms and policy adjustments are bearing fruit. Despite these positive developments, the economy is still vulnerable and the path to debt sustainability remains knife-edged. State Finance Minister Shahan Semasinghe said that some of the targets Sri Lanka had agreed with the IMF, including stolen asset recovery legislation, have been delayed in consensus with the global lender as they need more time for implementation.
Firstly, let me thank the IMF board, members of the IMF board, the management of the IMF and the mission team. I think they did a splendid job in making a turnaround in the economy of Sri Lanka because we were at a crisis when we went to the IMF. They guided us, they showed us the right path. As the government and the president, we decided to adopt what has been the roadmap which was shown to Sri Lanka. And then of course this was never possible if our creditors did not agree to restructure our debt and extend financing assurances. So when it came to financing assurances and debt restructuring, the official creditor committee, co-chaired by India, Japan and France, as you know, China was sitting outside the official creditor committee. All our bilateral partners supported us, guided us and extended their fullest cooperation and support. So we are grateful to that. And we are very hopeful. Likewise, we have come into agreement in principle with the bilateral creditors. We will be able to make decide soon on signing the MOUs. It is being highlighted by the IMF also, but at the same time, the IMF has recognized the progress made in debt restructuring discussions.
State Minister for Finance Shahan Semasinghe also said that Sri Lanka is in the final stages of reaching an in-principle agreement to restructure debt of China Development Bank. According to published debt data, Sri Lanka has debt classified as commercial and bilateral for China Development Bank. Semasinghe said Sri Lanka would not have been able to complete the review without the support given by the creditors. He said Sri Lanka hopes to wrap up the final agreement with bilateral creditors and also reach preliminary deals with private creditors before the end of June. SriLankan Airlines CEO Richard Nuttall said that the government is on its way to privatize several state-owned enterprises as part of the International Monetary Fund program.
Nuttall shared that one of the steps taken in that direction is the government helping with the balance sheet, which will be completed in a month or two.
So the government is trying to privatise a number of state-owned enterprises as a part of the IMF programme that it's going through. One of those is SriLankan Airlines. There's two parts of that. One is the government working to help us with our balance sheet, and a lot of work has gone on with that, and we expect that to be finished in the next 1 or 2 months. And then the other side is looking for an investor. Expressions of interest were completed in April, and there were 6 candidates. That's now been whittled down to 3. So the government is now talking to 3 different entities, and we'll see what happens from there.
The CEO shared that no Indian company has showed interest in investing in SriLankan Airlines, but one of the consortiums have some Indians in them. Speaking about the updates on the extension plan of SriLankan Airlines, Nuttall said that at the moment the fleet is of 21 and they are hoping for it to grow about 50% by the end of 2024. The CEO further added that the expansion will be from the increased frequencies to existing destinations rather than adding new destination cities. Nuttall said that during economic downturns that Sri Lanka is currently facing, more people tend to go and work overseas, which in turn helps the airline.
Airport and Aviation Services Sri Lanka, a fully government-owned company, released its annual report for the year 2023, posting an all-time record operational profit of 19,315 million rupees and profit after tax of 28,122 million rupees for the financial year 2023.
The company recorded a total revenue of 38,376 million rupees and a net profit after tax of 28,122 million rupees. In addition, the company contributed 12,218 million rupees to the government of Sri Lanka in the financial year 2023. The AASL manages and operates Bandaranaike International Airport, Mattala Rajapaksa International Airport, Colombo International Airport Ratmalana, Batticaloa Airport, Jaffna International Airport and Sri Lanka Airport and Aviation Academy, employing 3,940. The AASL recorded 7,548,646 international passenger movements in 2023, bettering on the figure of 5,503,198 in 2022, while it also felicitated international aircraft movements of 46,639. Cargo movements were recorded at 158,911 metric tons, while overflying movements were at 35,506. Chairman of Airport and Aviation Services Atula Galkatia stated that AASL's commitment extends beyond airport operations, providing services to international airlines and infrastructure management, encompassing crucial services like search, rescue, firefighting and aviation security to international airports.
Senior Economic Advisor to the President, Dr. R.H.S. Samarathunga, stated that through learning lessons from the economic crisis and identifying the main causes that created it, the government has formulated new policies ensuring that no economic crisis would be repeated again, with hope to increase new exports to around $3 billion by 2032.
He said that the current policies that are implemented have resurrected the economy from a -7% growth rate in less than 2 years, and all must ensure that this path should be continued. The government in the future will be identifying unused or underused lands and putting them for more productive usage. Samarathunga, the former Secretary of the Treasury, said that the government aims to convert Sri Lanka into a high-income country by 2048. The other targets that are included are to maintain a higher rate of 7 to 8% of annual economic growth and maintain a trade to GDP of above 100%. Samarathunga also said that attracting FDIs too is a priority, and while reducing red tape, they hope to draw around $3 billion annually from 2032. The government will also be establishing a holding company and bring new laws for SOEs restructuring programs. New laws too would be introduced to simplify new public-private partnerships.
The Cabinet of Ministers approved establishing 25 district industry promotion councils across the country to address the challenges faced by locally established micro, small and medium-scale enterprises.
Minister Bandula Gunawardena said a steering committee comprising representatives from the public sector, private sector and other relevant institutions will be appointed to determine the structure, role and responsibilities of these councils and to oversee the entire process. Acknowledging that the MSMEs are grappling with numerous issues at present, he said that recognizing the need for a system that is both accessible and beneficial, the government seeks to create a supportive environment to help these industries overcome their challenges. To achieve this, he said it is essential to establish and promote strong relationships between all relevant institutions. The goal is to ensure that quality and efficient institutional support and services are provided at the local level through a multi-sectoral and integrated approach.
Let's take a short commercial break. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. It is the second day in the red for the Colombo Stock Exchange as both ASPI and S&P SL20 ended with losses despite expected positivity due to the IMF updates. For more on this, we have Nishara Pereira from Capital Alliance.
So today the Colombo Stock Exchange concluded on a negative note compared to the previous trading session, brought on by a weakened sentiment and profit-taking among participants. The market ended at 12,359.86 points, marking a 31-point decrease from the previous session with a turnover of 1.8 billion rupees. The SL20 index also experienced a downward movement of 4 points to end the day at 3,675.87 points. Notable institutional engagement was also observed across various sectors with significant turnover in Commercial Bank and SoftLogic Capital. The top 5 gainers for the day were SMB Leasing, Blue Diamonds Jewelry, Tess Agro Non-Voting, Mullers PLC and SoftLogic Capital. The top 5 losers for the day were Radiant Gems, Pegasus Hotels, Palm Garden Hotel, Orient Finance and Merchant Bank. Foreign purchases amounted to 36 million rupees, while foreign sales amounted to 121 million rupees, indicating net sales by foreign parties.
There was a push in the markets today following the IMF board approval and the largest ever bond auction taking place. To get a rundown of how the markets behaved today, let's connect with Anjali Matthews from First Capital Holdings.
Following the news of the IMF review yesterday, the secondary market was stagnant during the second half of the day despite the news of the approval of the third tranche. Today, the CBSL conducted its biggest auction of the year, offering Rs 295 billion from the 15-10-27, 15-9-29 and 1-12-31 tenors, where the total amount offered was fully accepted. The 15-10-27 tenor was accepted at a weighted average yield rate of 10.69%, and the 15-9-29 tenor was accepted at a weighted average yield rate of 11.78%, alongside the 1-12-31 tenor at a weighted average yield rate of 12.03%. There was higher reception across the board, where the 15-10-27 tenor displayed 2.5 times higher reception than the 60 billion rupees offered, while the 15-9-29 tenor also gained higher reception of 1.4 times compared to the rupees 125 billion offered, followed by the 1-12-31 tenor gaining 1.7 times higher reception compared to the rupees 110 billion offered. The secondary market overall witnessed moderate volumes backed by higher investor participation post the year's biggest T-bond auction. Influenced by the bond auction, there was notable buying interest on short-term tenors, namely 2027 and 2028. This positive activity can be attributed to the approval of the third tranche following the IMF review and the country's positive performance.
Gold prices fell in Asian trade today, remaining close to recent lows as Federal Reserve slashed its outlook for interest rate cuts this year. presenting more headwinds for the yellow metal. Spot gold fell 0.7% to $2,309.69 an ounce, while gold futures expiring in August slid 1.2% to $2,325.60 an ounce. Oil prices saw very little mix-ups in the market today. Brent crude oil prices were up by 0.06% to $82.34 per barrel, and West Trade Intermediate crude oil was down by 0.13% to $78.26 per barrel. Data showed that U.S. oil inventories unexpectedly grew by 3.7 million barrels in the first week of June against expectations for a draw of 1.2 million barrels. Sri Lanka's rupee weakened further to close at 303 rupees and 80 cents and 304 rupees to the US dollar from 303 rupees and 50 cents to the dollar the previous week. Bond yields were up. Now let's observe how the rupee behaved against the other global currencies. Let's take a short commercial break. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Sri Lanka's SoftLogic Holding PLC has said funds from a 10 billion rupee rights issue would be used to settle the company's debt.
SoftLogic announced that it would infuse equity into the company by raising up to 2.9 billion rupees through a rights issue of shares and up to 1.8 billion rupees through a conversion of warrants into shares. It said at the time this would be for the purposes of settling the company's debt and meeting the working capital requirement. The company said in a stock exchange filing the board resolved to redefine the aforesaid purpose, according to which the totality of the funds raised would be employed only to settle the debt. The company has also proposed a share buyback subject to shareholder approval. The group, which has interests in retail, leisure, healthcare and financial services, is looking to sell down assets and cut debt.
The highly anticipated Battle of the Reef Festival is set to make waves this July at the shores of the Pegasus Reef. This inaugural event promises an exhilarating celebration of athleticism, camaraderie and entertainment exclusively designed for corporate participants in Sri Lanka.
On the 27th of July, the pristine beaches of Pegasus Reef will come alive with the sounds of festive cheer and friendly competition, featuring competitive beach volleyball, tag rugby and tug of war, along with a variety of fun-filled activities exclusively for corporate entities in Sri Lanka. Renuka Koswatha, General Manager of Pegasus Reef, said that they take immense pride in hosting the Battle of the Reef, a sports and music festival at the Pegasus Reef, which is another first in Sri Lanka. The festival promises a day of beachside entertainment and relaxation, ensuring a memorable experience for all attendees as they can enjoy the camaraderie fostered through engaging activities and spirited competitions. The excitement will crescendo with a vibrant live musical session showcasing popular artists and brands, promising to be the perfect end to a day filled with high energy and memories to cherish at the beaches of the Pegasus Reef.
Surya Shakti Limited has signed a power purchase agreement for the development of the 10 megawatts Vaunathu 2 solar project in Batticlaw. Surya Shakti is a wholly owned subsidiary of Solar Universe Limited, a joint venture between Vidur Lanka PLC, Windforce PLC and High Energy Services Limited. The Vaunathu 2 solar power project is expected to attract an investment of approximately 2.2 billion rupees. Nations Trust Bank, American Express and Crazy Jets, a leading online travel company, part of Incubator Technologies, the preeminent innovator in Sri Lanka's travel technology space, recently announced a strategic partnership to offer cardholders exclusive savings on their travel bookings.
Through this partnership, Nations Trust Bank, American Express cardholders can enjoy a 10% cashback on all flight bookings made through Crazy Jet's website till the end of this month. No minimum booking amount is required and the offer applies to both one-way and return flights, making it the perfect opportunity to save on any travel plans. Additionally, the cashback benefit extends to primary and supplementary cards, ensuring everyone can enjoy the savings. The Nations Trust Bank Senior Vice President for Cards and Consumer Assets stated that they are very pleased to partner with Crazy Jets, the fast-growing innovative online travel company in Sri Lanka, to offer a direct benefit to their card members. The Chief Operating Officer of Crazy Jets expressed enthusiasm about the partnership. This collaboration allows them to provide even greater value to travelers and further expand the reach within the Sri Lankan market. Crazy Jets is confident that this partnership will be a resounding success, offering exceptional value to Nations Trust Bank American Express cardholders and contributing to a more rewarding travel experience for all.
Let's take a short commercial break. This is the Nile Business Report. Welcome back to the Nile Business Report. Asian equities rallied today while bond yields slid as investors weighed cooling U.S. inflation against a more hawkish posture by the Federal Reserve. MSCI's broadest index of Asia-Pacific shares outside Japan climbed 0.9%, with Taiwan stocks jumping 1.7% and Hong Kong's Hang Seng was up nearly 1%. Japan's Nikkei edged up 0.1% after an initial tech-led advance fizzled. China's Shanghai Composite was at 3,028.05, down 0.76%. A global ranking by Kantar's BrandZ showed U.S. technology firm Apple has become the first brand to cross $1 trillion in brand value, a 15% jump from last year.
The iPhone maker retained its crown as the world's most valuable brand for the third straight year in 2024, followed by Alphabet's Google at $753 billion and Microsoft at $713 billion. Earlier this week, Apple unveiled new AI features which are expected to rekindle demand for iPhones and reverse a sales decline for its biggest selling product due to choppy consumer spending and resurgent tech rivals. With a market capitalization of $3.18 trillion, Apple was just behind Microsoft at $3.22 trillion and ahead of AI chip powerhouse Nvidia at $2.97 trillion.
Well, that concludes today's Nile Business Report. We'll see you again tomorrow with the latest happenings around the business globe. Until then, I'm Sina Mayadine. Have a good night.